Matt is the number one cloud computing slash automobile podcast in the world. Huge news. Huge news. Ford is pulling the plug. I guess that metaphor sort of writes itself in the headline
Wow.
on the all electric F-150 Lightning pickup truck. So this was the idea was the F-150 was going to, it's the, if you will, most popular truck in the United States.
Yeah.
They were going to move everyone to electric, and it was going to like replace everything. Turns out, I guess at least American consumers don't want to buy it. It was too expensive, and it's over. I guess it's over. They're going to repurpose these batteries, I guess, for some type of like, backup, like home generator.
Put it on the grid. Yeah.
Situation. So one, did you ever consider buying an F-150 Lightning pickup?
I don't think they have them here. So no, I'm not a pickup guy, I guess. That's the TLDR of that story. And a very large pickup would also be like strike 2, and strike 3 is they don't have them here.
Yeah, so a lot of things working against your case to get it. Now, did you, I don't remember, I guess we have to go back in time. Did you register an opinion on like, did you think it was going to be successful or not at the time?
Oh, I assume that like it would be moderately successful just because like it's Ford. They're going to sell a lot. It's the number one selling truck in the US or whatever. And I don't know. It seemed all right.
I agree. I kind of had the same opinion. I felt like, I don't know, seemed like it would work. And it seems like it's been nothing but a massissive failure. Now you are considering buying a vehicle. Like, and of course you're over in way down in Australia. Yeah, I was gonna say you've got other options available on the electronic front. So tell me what you're thinking about your future vehicle purchase.
So I've got 3 drivers in my family currently, and working on 4 and 5, and so we probably do need a second car. And the first one is a late model Nissan X-Trail. I think that's called a Rogue in America, but it's just it's a small SUV, medium SUV. It fits 5 people.
It's the car all of us have under different names, but go on.
Absolutely. And so the thinking was like, well, now that we've got more drivers, I probably need my keys are always getting disappeared, and we need another car. So I'm thinking something small, doesn't have to have super long range, and I'm like, oh, maybe an EV makes sense, right? It doesn't have to be it's not for the whole family, it's just the getting around town car, so it's probably a good candidate. And here in Australia, there are no local car manufacturers. The Holden shut down a few years ago, and so everything is imported.
Okay.
And being the closest, one of the closest stops from China, we have a lot of Chinese cars here. We also have a lot of European ones as well, and then of course you find out that a lot of European cars are made in China. So so we've got the whole gamut of choice here. I pretty much every car brand is available in some form, but they're also very expensive. So they've got high markups on cars.
Now, you're kind of living in the future, because everyone over here in the United States, the constant refrain we hear is that the Chinese electric cars are years ahead, decades ahead of what we have available in the United States. So you actually have some hands-on experience, or at least you've seen them. Can you confirm this is true? And like, if so, like, what makes them so great?
Well, I mean, when you like start digging into AliExpress or whatever, and you see there's just every crazy flavor of electronics under the sun. I mean, anything you think like, I wonder if they make an electronic version of that. Like, yes, they do. And then you're like, I wonder if it has RGB lighting. Of course it does, right? And so you get like, I've got a Chinese electric toothbrush, and it's got a USB-C charger, and it was like $10, and it works awesome. And just everything just undercuts name brands, and then like to differentiate themselves, they just start adding like stupid bells and whistles. And you see this in the car market. The self-driving stuff, it's not there, right? These are low end of the market, but once you sit in a car, it's got like, you know, half a dozen fans, and it's got extra lighting, and atmospheric effects, and CarPlay. Um,
Important.
but but like then when you look at the price, you're like, wait, this one's only like 40,000, whereas a Tesla starts at like 85, 90. And so you're like, well, shit. And not that I was going to buy a Tesla, but or a Polestar, which is also Chinese. And so you start to think, well, what am I what am I going to be buying here? Am I buying some crazy platform that's going to have who knows what in it, or can I get by on just the cheapest model? And then when you start looking at the cheap end models, it's like, wow, they're super cheap.
Okay, so when you but will you really buy it? Like, what's your
I don't know.
what's your rubric here? I guess maybe more
Oh,
importantly, are you committed? Like, will your next car definitely be electric? You just need to figure out the brand. Or are you
I
still facing
I
the
still
ICE
have
versus electric debate?
yeah, I still have family convincing that there's uh range, fear of range is
Range
definitely
anxiety.
with
You
it.
have to overcome range
Range anxiety,
anxiety.
yeah.
Uh huh.
But I'm also like, yeah, how often do you drive more than 50 kilometers? Let alone 300, which might be the range of 450, and so 300 miles for Americans. And it's like never, right? You're driving downtown, you're going to the university, you're coming around, you're running errands around here. We don't, if we need range, we have our X Trail. And so that I think I can win that conversation. Or I can also just get another internal combustion used that's
Mm-hmm.
cheap as anything. And there's a ton of choices. We've got all the Japanese and Korean brands, and you know it doesn't have to be EV, but the nice thing about EVs is they actually have fewer moving parts. They're easier to repair. So yeah, but then of course, knowing me, I've got I've got the paranoia about being spied on, and so like that was actually, before Elon went full crazy, like all the leaks of
Mm-hmm.
internal videos from Teslas getting shared around social media, where they're like, oh, not only are the employees of Tesla watching videos from inside and around your cars, they're sharing them with each other, and oops, they're on the internet. So that's an American company, as opposed to, oh, here's this Chinese car that's spying on you. Who knows where that's going? Just
All
as
right,
bad.
let's put aside the security for a moment because I was looking. I'm not as near as you are, but like in the not too distant future, I need to probably add a third car to the family. So, looking at what it was, and so someone said the best deal going is a used Tesla Model 3. So basically, you get one with like I don't know, I guess just used anywhere from like say 2 to 5 years old, right?
Yeah.
And when you look online, which I did a little bit of just to kind of see, it's like it is. They are significant. I mean, they don't. I guess you can say it either. You can say it positively or negatively. You can say they're a great deal, or you could say they depreciate very, very quickly. So same thing. So I was looking at it, but I guess it's sort of it's almost like it's not range anxiety, but I guess it's sort of just like I don't know what to call it, like electric sustainability, or like how long? Because I think when you buy like a regular old gasoline powered car, like I feel like you kind of have a sense of like, well, if you take care of it, you probably get 200,000 miles out of it. You probably
Yeah.
last 10 to 20 years, depending if you really want to. Like, of course, you may choose to get one. Whereas when I'm looking at like a used Model 3 or any electric vehicle for that matter, it's like I have just no idea. Like, other than like age of battery, like, but what does that mean? Because it's almost like it reminds me a little bit of like a laptop battery or like an iPad, for example. Like, for example, I think iPads, the batteries seem to last forever. Like, I feel like you can have them like six,
Yeah.
7
Yeah.
years. And it's not that the battery doesn't degrade, but it doesn't really, it's kind of back to your thing. It's like, it's fine for just using it a few hours a day. Like, there's not an
Yeah.
issue,
Yeah.
right?
There's no range anxiety with your
Yeah,
iPad.
you just feel like whatever, it's not a big problem. But other times, like you get maybe a lower, less, I don't know, off market laptop. It's like the battery lasts like 10 seconds or something. You know,
Oh
it's just
yeah,
like it's
yeah.
just depleted. And so
But
so I don't
that's
know,
the
like is there a way, like I guess this is just back to like going to the AI and reading up on it. It's like if the battery says like maybe like an iPhone battery, it says like okay, it's 90%. So it gives 90% of the original charge. Okay, that seems good. Then you can kind of do the math. You'd be like, okay, I'll get 90%, then that reduces the range by 10%, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know, like that, the math, like I feel like I don't trust it. I feel like I'm going to get this and it's just going to be a brick. It's not going to work for me. Like that's my,
well, but that's the thing about like the BYD cars is my understanding is you can swap out the batteries.
but isn't that like the most expensive part, right? Isn't it just like, well, why not just
Well,
buy another one?
yes, but if the car's going to last, 300,000 or 400,000 miles,
Hmm.
and you're not buying gas, you have fewer repairs. So it's like tires and batteries. And so if you get a used one that's in good shape, ostensibly you should be able to put another, 100,000 miles on it, no problem. And that's kind of how I'm seeing it. Like, yeah, I wouldn't buy new. Um, but then that obviously restricts what you get to buy. And then um, I wouldn't buy a used Tesla because a lot of the features are subscription based, and what's to say, they turn them off, or you lose access to updates. And that's the thing I really worry about more than like the battery life. I worry about like the software life.
No, it's true. It's like you're on a car that's like, are they maintain? How long are they maintaining it for, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's just all the same stuff, right? Yeah.
which is why Mad Max, an Australian documentary, all the cars are old model internal combustions that have no electronics.
Yep. Because
Yeah,
they can be repaired and the computers cannot take over. So yeah, no, I
exactly.
get you. I get it. Well, that's important. You know, that's yet another reason to watch all the Mad Max movies. And I like the fact that you phrased it as an Australian documentary. That's fantastic. I think that's good. Well, listen, maybe I'll leave it to the listeners. I know we have people that own electric cars. So in the Slack, I want you to tell us
What should I do?
the questions are the following. I guess one for Matt, what electric car should he be considering? Because he has more choices. But
Given paranoia and cheapness.
yeah, I don't know. There's a lot going on. And then I guess in the US, it would be like, okay, what is the best used electric vehicle to consider? I want someone to put that in there. And then I want them to tell me how, if I were to go look at it, like what would I do? What questions would I ask? What information would I gather to know if it's actually a good deal and will the vehicle actually run? And more importantly, how long? I guess that's what I really am asking. It's like, I want to be able to do a calculation. If I buy this, I can expect it to last this long. That's the key. So, all right. So there's some homework assignment before Christmas vacation. Everyone must do that. If you don't, then, I don't know what to say. We're just going to make you listen to the
You've
podcast.
ruined Christmas.
You've ruined Christmas, and you just have to listen to all the podcast episodes again. That's going to be your homework. You have to download and listen to everything again. Well, speaking of not, I guess Christmas, but if you will, maybe more Scrooge side. Oracle got a big Christmas present earlier in the year because they did the deal with NVIDIA, and then everyone was like, "This is great. You're worth like, I don't know, hundreds of billions of dollars more than you were before." They had so much money. In fact, they're like, you know what we should do? We should buy Warner Brothers. And they set out to do that. And then as soon as they did that, now it sounds like their earnings were, I get, in line, but now they're essentially their stock is, if you will, quote unquote, plummeted. I think over like 11, 12% this week. So where does this leave us in this as we kind of move into next year? And I'm sure we'll talk about AI on our wrap up episode in a few weeks, but like, where does this leave us with this whole thing? It's like, at first it was good to be doing a deal with OpenAI, but then now it seems like it's not good to be doing a deal with OpenAI. Like, where are we at as financial investors?
Well, I mean, maybe this means that Oracle didn't do enough financial shenanigans to protect themselves from due diligence. Um, I mean, I think, in my opinion, this is like the canary in a coal mine, right? We've seen the first time that someone's like had to talk about their numbers after one of these big announcements in a quote unquote real world company that has a track record, and the market didn't like what they saw. They were like, you had this huge deal. you've got these commitments, and then it turns out these commitments are more like intentions, and these intentions didn't write any of the checks that drove up the stock price. So we don't think there's a there, and that's my layman interpretation of it. And so stock went up, stock went down, and they're below where they started. Maybe if there is all this, if the follow through happens, it'll rebound and start climbing back up. But what if this is the first string to unravel? That's kind of where we are. And you know I think we're gonna have our prediction episode, or our year in review. We'll talk about what we expect in AI for 2026. I think we're gonna see a lot of crazy volatility.
Mhm.
And I'm not ready to call it the popping, but I'm gonna, maybe it's some mini pops. And Oracle just got popped.
Yeah, and I guess you used I like your phrase there. I think you called it like intentions or something. You said something like, and I guess it's just an interesting way of saying these aren't like committed contracts. These were sort of like, I don't know, whatever you call it, letter of intent, kind of stuff, which is
Yeah,
just
yeah,
letter
they're
of intent
press
just
release
means,
investments.
I
Yeah.
mean, like anyone can write a letter of intent, right? It's just like, oh, okay, well, we're going to do this eventually unless we change our minds. So I don't know. I don't know what to think of it. I mean, I guess to your point, I guess you could say it is the canary in the coal mine, or you can also just say it's just, I don't know,
It's a
Oracle
blip.
being Oracle,
Yeah.
right? They're just sort
Yeah,
of
yeah.
like they maybe got out of themselves, announced a little bit more than they really had there, and it just kind of people took a second look and they readjusted their expectations. I don't know. So, well, that, and then we won't really get into it this week, but then of course they lost out on the Warner Brothers bid. So I don't know. That was the other thing. So it's like
Was
first
that
you're
was
gonna
that
have Warner
Oracle
Brothers.
directly, or was that the Ellison family?
Well, I mean, I guess the distinction without a difference kind of question there. It's like, yeah, yes, it was
but
David Ellison's the
but I don't
son
think
doing
an,
it.
an SEC filing from Oracle, the company, is going to mention it ever.
No, well, no, the latest the latest thing was they came back and said they would backstop the offer with Oracle stock, basically
Oh, okay.
meaning like we can finance this because,
Sure,
to
because
make it real
the Oracle
simple, we
stock is
can
up 40%.
we can finance this because we're super rich, and and by we mean Larry Ellison, right? That's really what we mean, and so.
By
So I don't
we,
know.
not software defined talk.
Maybe maybe Oracle, they lost out on two things: that the OpenAI not so good, and Warner Brothers not so good. But we'll see. Who knows? There's Larry
Well,
Ellison and Oracle people, they win a lot. So who knows? Next week's a new week. Anything can happen.
I don't feel bad for them.
Well, and along the same vein, OpenAI, it's reported from the information that they are in talks to raise at least $10 billion from Amazon and use Amazon's AI chips. I believe this is a announcement that surprises no one, right? Like, well, this, I don't know. It's like, I believe this means OpenAI is using everyone, right? No, not Google, I guess, right? I guess they're not
They probably
not using
are.
GCP rather.
Aren't they? I just saw somebody had a big GCP announcement, or maybe it was Anthropic had a GCP TensorFlow, GPU
Well,
announcement.
let's say it this way. I don't think Google's investing in OpenAI. That would be quite the story. If the
Yeah,
Gemini,
yeah. They're
so I don't know. Maybe, who knows what's going on. So Amazon. So now So basically, we now have Microsoft and Oracle mostly tied to OpenAI. Then we have Amazon mostly tied to Anthropic, but now going to be, if you will, tied somewhat into OpenAI. And like, what do you
well,
think is more important here? That the fact that they're going to get the money for 10 billion, or they're going to use Amazon's chips. So this is
but
I think it's just Trainium now. Is Inferentia? I think Inferentia. I can't remember. One of them is not. I think they only have one chip now. I can't remember which is which, but they're one of those chips.
I mean, the what they're not. Amazon's not giving OpenAI $10 billion. What they're giving them is $10 billion in AWS credits to use their GPUs.
Mm-hmm.
And the downside for Amazon is, like, when OpenAI goes under, they won't pay them back. But the upside is, OpenAI is tied to Amazon and their chips going forward, and it becomes marketing collateral. Obviously it'll be offered through the Amazon market, and you'll have access to OpenAI directly through that. Amazon will get more users of their GPUs. which is good for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not. And if on the oddball chance that OpenAI ever becomes something substantial, Amazon gets a cut of that too. But uh, I think this is just more people throwing more money on OpenAI that don't think they probably don't think they're going to get it back, but they're covering their downside by, well, at least they're using our chips.
Well, it seems at this point, OpenAI has money from everyone. So it feels
Exactly.
like I don't know, if the too big to fail or like too important to go down. I don't know, maybe something along those lines. It feels like if they really were to be like, hey, we're out of money. I mean, they could call all these companies and be like, there's two ways this can go. Either we declare bankruptcy and you're all going down with us to some degree,
Yeah.
or you can, give us more money or, come up with some kind of soft
But
landing,
how long
right?
can that last?
Well, so there's this, I won't try to describe the whole thing. There's this great thing that was posted in the Software Defined Talk Slack. I don't know if you've seen it. It's this tweet or whatever X post. It's called the AI Money Machine. And it's like this graph of all the companies. It's like almost like reminds me of like traveling salesman. And it shows like where all the money is going. Like if you're making revenue or you're making investment, and you just see like every company is like enmeshed with the other, and you just see the revenue like just flowing between everyone, right? And it's sort of I don't know, it's either like this is your thing, it's your point, it's like it's either a sign of the apocalypse, right? Or it's a sign that like, okay, well, these companies are just like the market's like working itself out, right? Like all these companies have some way to make money, and there's eventually going to be some final demand that pays for all of this.
Well, that was my takeaway from it when I saw that. I was like, this is just money going between these companies, money coming from end users, and it's money coming in from sovereign wealth funds. They're funding a market that people do like using AI, but I don't think they like using it to the extent that they need the investment.
All right,
And so
I'm gonna pause here. Like you've like all pixelated. I give myself a little. I'm gonna give me a little edit point here. Let's see. Like, will it come back? Will the internet come back, Matt? Why does the internet dislike you? What have you done wrong to the internet gods?
I don't know why the internet hates me.
Why did you turn off your video, turn it back on? See if the old reboot yourself. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, now you've completely gone. Oh, you've left me. All right, you're back.
Vengeance.
Okay, I think you're good again. Do you feel good? Does the internet feel good again?
It's kind of here. How it just blipped. Man, it's like when my son wakes up, turns on his computer. It's probably like full of spyware or something.
All right, now you seem sharpen up again, though. You seem good now.
Yeah. We'll see.
All right, here we go. I got a good edit point there. So
wind me up with something, and
yeah, we'll just do 3 segments. It's almost, I can piece them together too. It'd be easier because it's only one person this week, so it'll be easier to edit it. So, all right, here we go. You ready?
Yep.
All right. Well, in other news, Matt, it looks like our friends at Chainguard are going to attempt to answer the age-old question: what do you do with old open source projects that are still useful but are no longer being maintained? So they are introducing, and I don't really know how to say this. I think it's are we going to call it EmeritOSS? And basically, I don't know exactly how that whole thing needs to be pronounced. EmeritOSS, maybe one or the other. So we'll pick for the moment. Pick a pronunciation that you.
I'm going with EmeritOSS. I like it.
All right, EmeritOSS it is. So what this is basically, it's an answer to, all right, the open source project is no longer being sustained or maintained. So what they're going to do is they're going to take a fork of the project. Now, they're clear. They're calling these friendly forks. They just want to basically take what you currently have. They're going to fork it. And then what they're going to do is put out, if you will, secured versions of it. So what they're committing to essentially, if you will, just keeping the pack. I kind of read it this way: they're just going to keep the dependent packages up to date, and only very, very important security fixes. Right?
Yeah.
They will not be doing any feature development. They won't be doing any bug fixes. So of course, we talked about. What was it? Ingress, I think it was the other. The thing that's going to be. So they have 3 projects they're going to sustain. They're going to put them in there, and the way it's going to work is, if you want the free thing, you can get it on GitHub, so that all the source code and, if you will, quote unquote, the latest version that they're maintaining will be available. But then, if you want, not surprisingly, a secure container already built for you, that is part of their quote unquote commercial distribution. So,
Yeah.
I don't know, Matt. What do we think? What
I think it's great.
You think you like this solution?
I mean, I don't like it. I'm happy to see it maintained. There are obviously no obligations for feature updates, but this, like being neck deep in enterprises, they take a long time to get off software. I mean, I'm in my day job, I'm still seeing, Log4Shell. I'm still seeing XP utils. It's, these things don't go away overnight. And having, having secure, at least patched versions of these things available, gives users a little more runway to get off of them. I mean, I hope, what I would actually love to see is other organizations, IBM, Amazon, even Google, add to this. Share a developer, share some hours at least. Provide some resources. Having an open source old folks home is it's actually pretty useful to a lot of people, and I appreciate Chainguard doing this. I think kudos to them, especially because they're keeping it on GitHub. They're not like, oh, you must be a Chainguard customer to have access to this. That's really cool to see. So kudos to Chainguard. I say,
yeah. I guess one of the pitches they make in there is they basically say, it's like, when they call it friendly fork, is like, I think there's this idea that, like, well, maybe a project goes, if you will, let's just call it into like, what do you call it, the old folks home? We'll call it maintenance mode.
Source old folks home.
Okay, maybe we just call it maintenance mode. But I think the idea is that, like, well, if it then reemerges, like it needs new stuff, it's like people have, they have, if you will, a secure version to like start with. Be like, okay, here's the version with the latest things. And if you want to like fork it again and then start building like whatever, the next new thing on it, it's like, it's sort of like, you don't have to do all that work of like, oh, I got to dust off the cobwebs. And
I got to go patch all the NPM vulnerabilities.
Yeah, like 10 versions of Java and NPM and like nothing works, and so that part is good. Now, let me just say, because I feel like, let's try to represent both sides. Okay, the other side of this would be like, gee, is this sort of like, and I mean this in a good way, is this kind of like sneaky private equity a little bit, right? Because this is, a lot of times we talk about, and you've been close to a couple of these, where private equity will buy a company, they essentially, get rid of most of the people, the sales, the marketing, the development, and then they just say like, yeah, we'll give you a license for it, right? For however many years, and we'll do the bare minimum of it. So it's like, and we kind of view that as like, no one loves that other than the private equity people. So like, does this have like a flavor of that a little bit? Or are we being like too generous to Chainguard? Like, oh, they're like nice and friendly, but if it was like private equity OSS, we'd be like, we hate you. But it's kind of the same thing.
I don't think so. I mean, because they've committed to keeping it up on GitHub and not restricting access to it, this is generally like, I mean, obviously, it's good PR for Chainguard. They've got us talking about them, about how this is a good
like it.
It elevates their profile in the greater open source community, whatever that is. And, it has some, potential commercial implications of like, oh, maybe I should take a look at Chainguard. It's good marketing PR for them, but I don't see a lot of negatives to this. I mean, these are projects that, the official maintainers have walked away from and needed a home. and there's still lots of users of them, but nobody so far has stepped up to maintain them. And Canico and you know Ingress, Nginx Ingress, maybe they're not big enough to support like more than a consultant, or you're not going to do a whole business on one of these.
Yeah. All right. Well, what about this
so
then?
yeah,
I want to throw out one other thing. It's like, okay, I think we're all in agreement. We like it, keeps it around, it's happy. But again, they do say, okay, they're going to include it in the commercial distribution. So that means they're going to potentially make some money there. We're in favor
yeah,
of that. But could we say it's like, listen, hey, maybe you could take a little bit of that money you make on these distributing these products, and maybe you could funnel some of that money back into like sponsoring someone to like work on the project a little bit.
but
Maybe
but they
do
do.
like
I mean, Chainguard is like the
but I'm saying for
founders are.
these
Yeah,
specific projects though, like the ones like, hey, if people are using this quote unquote as you call as you called it, old folks software, it's like, but if you're making like if you're making kind of good money on it, it's like, well, just like funnel some of the money back and be like, maybe it's not like full blown releases, but maybe it's sort of like minor bug fixes, or people that could just do kind of like
well, I'm
something
sure.
beyond maintenance, just a little bit
Yeah,
more. And because you kind of like because they're making some money. I'm not saying they shouldn't make money on it. I'm just saying that it seems
yeah.
like a way to give something back versus just like, hey, we don't do anything but security fixes.
Yeah, but I mean the economics for this are pretty brutal. This is pretty far removed from being able to point to a customer and say like, this is the reason they're paying us,
Mm-hmm.
right? We've got AT&T because we supported Nginx Ingress, and that was a 500K worth of that deal is on supporting this, so it's got a PM and 3 developers. No, that's not happening. This
Mm-hmm.
is like Chainguard has, they've got all the founders all have like
Yeah, it's like
really
bundled.
long open source
Yeah,
cred,
yeah. It's all
and
bundled together is your point, right?
yeah,
It's like who knows
so
what thing is making what, right?
I
Yeah.
don't think I don't think there's a lot of incentive on their side to do anything more than keep it
Mm-hmm.
patched. And it's probably not a full-time developer. Maybe it's got some attention from a PM, or maybe it's just like seriously a single dev senior enough to like handle the backlog himself, herself, for the 3 of these, and just kind of like chugs away at them.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's a huge commitment here, by which means like that single dev is probably just like, what, I'm going to fix this feature.
Yeah. No, they make it very
But
clear. They make it very
yeah,
clear that they even said they turn off pull requests, they turn off comments.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
this is just, I mean, it is a read only repository. Like here it is. If you
pretty
need it,
much.
if you need
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
so
And
so
if
maybe,
and if we check back in a month, I bet there's going to be like 1 or 2 committers.
yeah,
Or
well,
it might just be CI/CD where you don't
yeah.
exactly see it.
Well, this is, as I always say, right? This is, as I've asked many times, this could be the place where someone really had strong belief in agent open source. An agent, you could just put an agent on the repo
Yeah,
and let
but
it
that's the
and
thing.
see
It's
what
like
happens.
if you're Chainguard, and they're not an AI company
Mm-hmm.
directly, but it's like they're probably not heavily incented to like mess around with that.
Well,
But
maybe it's not for Chainguard. Then maybe it's just like, because again, they say these are friendly forks. So it's like, let Chainguard do all the work, get it all in there, and then you fork it, and you're like, you know what? Who's working on this? It's agent. It's AI agent X, and they're fixing everything. It would
but
be interesting.
but having been on the receiving end of AI PRs, it's like that's just noise,
Well,
right?
I'm really, as you know, Matt, I just like
You're looking for that winning use
we
case.
talk about this every week. We are inundated with like talks about agents, how we should use agents. Agents are taking over the world. So I'm always like, I want to believe, and I want to be like,
I want
okay,
to believe.
that's why I'm saying. That's why like these are good examples of it. Like, I don't want, as I've said many times, I do not want an agent calling to make a restaurant reservation for me. I do not care about
No,
that.
no.
I want an agent evolving an open source project that is very mature and maybe only needs like very specialized changes. It seems like a good use case.
Yeah, and we haven't really, like you'd expect that out of Microsoft, right? They've got a lot invested in open source and AI, and you've got Anthropic bought Bun, the Node
Command line
runtime
thing, right?
compiler,
Mm-hmm.
thing. And they said like Claude is the number one committer. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe, you could see that happening, but I want to see more of that. I want to, this this is probably a great candidate for that, is like something to evaluate updating dependencies and testing. That's all it does. But at that point, like getting it to that stage, uh, once it's in that phase, like a developer's done most of the work, and you're handing
Mm-hmm.
like, "Hey AI, don't let this fall over,"
Yeah,
which
it's in
is good.
it's in the old
Yeah.
folks' home for a reason. It's in maintenance mode for a reason. People feel
Well,
like it's
that's why
done.
Japan's investing so much in like human-aid robots,
That's
right? They're
right.
like, robots are going to take care of us.
All right. Well, listen, we'll keep watching it. I'm interested to watch what is it called? EmeritOSS is what you're calling it.
EmeritOSS. Yeah, the O is
Emeritus.
for open. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to learning how to actually say it correctly, because it's always weird when it has the 3 capital letters at the end. I don't know if we're doing it right, but it does seem like it's a nice way to start the new year, or the almost new year. It's like, well, if you were really dependent on one of these things and you were scrambling, it looks like
Yeah.
you got yourself a little bit more time. It's like
I
getting
need
the
to give
extension on your paper that's due at the end of the quarter. You're like, you know what? Just bought myself another 6 months at
As
least.
somebody was like, all that work I was going to do over the holidays when no one was around, I'll do it in July.
That's right. I'll do it over the summer break. So,
So I need to give one more shout out to Chainguard. They
uh-huh.
have the best email, their user email newsletter.
Uh-huh.
It's called Chainmail.
Oh, nice. I've not, I don't think I'm subscribed to that one. I need to
That's
go check
so
it out.
awesome.
All
Chainmail.
right. All right. Well, this episode not brought to you by Chainguard, but it should be. They should be sponsoring after all the things we talked about, but it'll be
Yep,
interesting to
yep.
see what happens. So, in other news, and another little Christmas present that maybe you never thought you wanted, our friends at GitHub or Microsoft, whichever, I don't know. I guess they're all one big happy family now. So they originally said they were coming out and going to start charging for self-hosted runners, which of course were free before. And Matt, what have we learned about in the 25 years we've been doing software defined talk? If you make it free and then you start charging for it, what is typically the response?
Oh, I don't know. Everyone gets a taste, and then you start putting fentanyl in it, and you're addicted, and then it's either going to kill you or you're going to get addicted and pay for it.
Well, I was just going to say it makes everyone extremely angry is what it
Yeah.
does. It makes
Oh, yes,
all the
yes.
free users
Taking
very
away free
angry.
stuff, never good for
We've
goodwill.
seen it. I mean, who did it? Like, remember Docker? They took away what they made some changes to Docker Hub, and like, I
Yep.
don't know. We've probably talked about a million different versions of this. So, and of course, what do you do when you anger a bunch of people kind of by mistake? Is you roll back the changes, right? And that's what
Absolutely.
GitHub has postponed the changes to self-hosted runners, and it sounds like they'll still be free for a while. Now they were clear that they're going to reevaluate their approach, which I think means they're just going to find a nicer way to make you pay for it. How did you read that?
Yeah. I mean, they're going to, because in their write up about the initial announcement, not the rollback, but the initial announcement, they're like, oh, this only affects something like 13% of our users use self-hosted, and they ran some numbers, and you're like, oh, that sounds the average, I think they said the median user is only going to pay $13 a month, and I was like, I like the word median there, because you know what that means is
It's
there's
doing a
some
lot of work.
whales.
Yeah, it's
There's
doing a
some
lot of work in that
whales.
sentence.
Yeah. Yeah. That's I see what you did there. So they definitely tried to hide the fact that there are some users who must be like, leveraging this super heavily.
Mhm.
Where maybe they, I don't know, own their own public cloud or something, and they're just pointing this thing at GitHub. And yeah, I get it. Maybe instead of like charging for it, you just update your terms of service and say, like, if you hit this API limit, we're gonna cut you off. Talk to your sales team, right? Then that whole thing of like, this only affects 13% of our users. 87% of the people never had this discussion. Never,
Mhm.
it doesn't show up on our radar. It just becomes this thing like, oh, the whales are getting throttled. Nobody feels bad for the whales.
Right. In theory, they have the money. But what do you think about the idea? I guess, I was kind of reading both sides of it. Like, one, it's self-hosted. So in theory, you, the customer, you're, if you will, absorbing all the compute costs, right? So the only
Yeah.
cost here is and this is the case, I guess, that GitHub was making. It's like, basically if you will, the call out, basically the coordination of like, okay, I need to trigger this onto, which I think they have some type of agent, right? Like you run an agent on your virtual machine that's probably running in, your own infrastructure. So it's not like that is like free work, because we all know it's like someone has to maintain that software and has to like make sure that the agent shakes hand and make sure that all the APIs work. So, but that being said, is like it isn't what we're used to, in the sense of like I'm not consuming. Like I feel like a lot of people are very okay with like, if I'm consuming compute from you, like I should be expected to pay for it, right? But if I'm just getting a message from you and I'm doing all the work, I kind of feel like it should be free. Like where do you come down on that?
That's why I said throttle them. So that's generally like most people don't worry about API traffic until
Mm-hmm.
it gets a lot, right? And so um that's why I said throttle them, right? Like you don't see this except at the edge cases, in which case, yeah, what looks like free, turns into not free on the receiving end, eventually.
Right.
So I think they just mishandled this.
Yeah.
I
So
think,
your point is just like, it's one of these things where it's like a very generous free cheer. All the people in the quote unquote $13 median and below, they would never be charged. And it's just like, you've got a few giant companies that either have to pay you or they have to do something else, right? We don't want to continue to, because that was kind of, I feel like that was kind of the Docker Hub kind of situation, was like, yeah, we don't mind if you host a container that's like relatively, small and isn't getting, downloaded like 8 million times. But if you put up like something that's getting, millions of downloads, like we have to pay for that, right? Like that money's got to
yeah,
come from somewhere.
yeah.
So something along those lines. Well, not to be outdone, as far as I know, at the time of this recording, Atlassian is also charging for their runners as well. And same thing for self-hosted runners. So maybe this is what GitHub's doing. And it's like, well, let's just let Atlassian take all the hits. See, and it's not as big a platform. Like it won't be used in quite the same way. And see
Right.
if let them kind of reestablish, like, if you will, what people think they should be getting for free. And then later on this year, maybe in the summer, before summer break, they're going to be like, oh, before you guys go on vacation, just so you know, some of you self-hosted people, we thought about it and we're reintroducing a cost to this.
Yeah. I mean, it is a little fishy that Atlassian just, 10 hours later or whatever, made the same announcement. I'm not saying that, they coordinated or anything, but I bet somebody at Atlassian was like, look, they're going to take the hit. Nobody's going to notice us. We'll slip this in too. Um, Again, I think, it would have been easier just to put in an API throttling,
Mm-hmm.
to deal with your abusers. And that's the case for a lot of stuff. Like, most of the things I see, like APIs are free, and then it's like, oh, if you run into, here are the limits though, and when you hit those limits, it's like contact your account team, right? And then you have a conversation, and it may be like, oh yeah, not a problem, let's just bump it up for you, or like, because you're using it this much, you have, a technical account manager, somebody who's like, let's like re-architect this so you're not abusing it, or we're going to have to charge you because it costs us. It's more nuanced than just like, oh, let's piss everybody off, even though we're really only pissing off 1% of people.
Yeah. No, I like it. Well, I want to like propose a weird potential solution for this. I want to get your take on it. So, related but not really related to this is this great video. I don't think maybe you posted it. It's called Why GitHub Why. Okay. And it
Yeah.
goes through, I'll try to make a real long story short, but basically they show how there's some GitHub, I think it's GitHub runner code, right? And it basically the long story short is, if we need to wait for 5 seconds, there's some code in there to basically sleep for 5 seconds, right? But what they did was, instead of using like, sleep for, if sleep is less than or equal to 5 seconds, keep sleeping. And then of course, after 5 seconds, 6 seconds, you would stop sleeping, go and do what you want. Instead of doing that, they used not equal to. So it only stops sleeping if you hit it exactly at 5 seconds, right? Which of course is like rarely going to happen. And it's going to cause this while loop to go on forever. So one, it's an extremely funny video because it's very easy to understand once you kind of see what it is. But two, they had several people show that, if they, someone showed something like they had a whole virtual machine run this for like some unbelievable amount of hours and days, right? And of course that costs them money. So what I was thinking they could do is they could go back and be like, and then they go on to say that this issue was identified years ago. Yeah. But then for some reason it goes unexplained. And in fact, there was even a pull request. Again, it's not a very complicated fix. Like probably anyone can fix this. But it was like rejected or I should say rejected. It wasn't accepted for like a long time. Right. And then they finally did it. So I have several things here. One, the easy thing here is to be like, well, they're just lazy, stupid. People are stupid. They didn't do it. And it's like, no. Like if this has a YouTube video about it, like, there are people in GitHub that knew about this, right?
Oh yeah.
And there were meetings about this and there was a reason. I don't know what it is. I don't even want to speculate, but there was some kind of reason this was not fixed for a long period of time. Now you could be very cynical and be like, because it made them money, essentially it would consume virtual machine time. But I don't think that. I don't think anyone, that's like 7D chats people are trying to like, but some like organizational reason.
They charge by the CPU hour.
Right. So this is where I'm going. So one, if anyone knows at GitHub wants to tell me why it wasn't fixed, because I feel like you're not represented in this video. Like you're just being portrayed. So if anyone wants to quietly tell us why, I'll relay that to the world because I believe there's more to it. It may not be a good reason, but there's more to it. But what we could do is say, listen, since you've been overcharging us all of this compute time while we've just been sleeping and wasting all this time, you can reallocate that money to the self-hosted GitHub and make them free for a little bit longer. It's almost like there's a collective credit that was built up because of this bug. And it's like, not until we use off all the credit can you start charging for this. I feel like that would be like some good middle ground, right? It's like, you made a mistake. We want something for free. It's like when you go to the restaurant, they're like, we're sorry, the meal is what you wanted. We'll give you the free dessert, right? It's something along those lines. So what do you think? Do you think GitHub is going to go for this? Do you think I can get this through the Microsoft GitHub legal?
No.
Well,
there are no give backs. I mean, this is what's funny is like, the whole like, tariffs going on. It's going before the Supreme Court. They're going to decide this. And all the companies are already filing like, we want our money back. And it's like, there are all these court cases, legal suits getting back where people want refunds on their tariffs. And it's like, good luck.
This is never going to happen. You're never getting your money back.
I'd love to give you your money back, but we already spent it.
Yeah,
we spent it on engineers making GitHub better.
We don't have the money. So, all right. Well, I tried for all of us, but, well, GitHub, we look forward to hearing from you. I hope someone tells me like what was behind that little code fix, because it was kind of funny. All right, final topic. I will make it very quick here. Coursera to buy Udemy. How do you say that one? Anyway? There's basically two online educational firms, and they're basically going to target AI training. So my question is, aren't these companies already dead? Like, wouldn't you just use the AI? Wouldn't you just like, this is what I do for all my training. I just like type into the AI chatbot, like, how do I do X, Y, Z? And then off I go. And like, I don't know, that could spawn like a weeks long chat session where I'm kind of learning about stuff, trying stuff, and I don't actually do any of the courses. So what am I missing here?
I hope it's a stock buy. I mean, I hope they're using stock to buy the other company out, because I mean, I wouldn't put more cash into this. Yeah, that's weird. If we had a short fund at here at Software Defined Talk, we'd be like, I think we would go. Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is like, you're sitting in the lifeboat and you're like, throw that guy throw that guy a lifeboat.
Well, this is the other thing I was going to say. Like, as far as as Matt, you work on your investment portfolio for next year. I was thinking about, like, we always just talk about like which things do we think is going to do well and things like that. But like, we really need to adopt a short fund mentality. So that Coursera is a good one, where it's like, I just don't think this is going to work out. The other one I want to propose is, it sounds like Roomba, maker of iRobot, they filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And what I was thinking was, this is the way it should work. It's like, if you have something in your house that either someone gave you or you spent like legitimately a large sum of money on, but you just sell it eventually on Facebook Market, you should, as soon as you sell it, you should take that money, walk to over to your brokerage account and short the stock. Whereas like, I had this Roomba thing for, I don't know, a couple years. It was a nice one. Someone gave it to us. I tried to use it many times. It was at marginally, it maybe worked once or twice, like the way you would think about it. But then I was like, fundamentally, this is just a flawed idea. Like, you can't really vacuum the house without moving stuff around and without like some knowledge. And I was like, this is just, it just was a waste of time. It's like, it's just better to like get the vacuum out, vacuum what you want and move on. I was anti Roomba. So I felt, so hold on. That was my thing. It's like, I should have like, not when I sold it and then I sold it on Facebook Market, it's like, instead of just selling on Facebook Market, I should have gone out and I should have and shorted it.
You should have taken your Facebook Market money and shorted
all my millions from Facebook Market and been like, I'm shorting Roomba. I'm getting, because I don't think it's going to do well. And it sounds like they're not doing well. Now it sounds like
no. I disagree completely.
You have a different opinion. Go ahead. Give me the pro robot vacuum.
Yes, the distinction there is pro robot vacuum. Roomba, the company, iRobot, is a victim of their own success. Right? They created a market, robotic vacuums. I had one. It was awesome. They made a couple of user-friendly market or choices. Their products were user repairable, which that's a big no-no. When it comes to consumer electronics, you can't let people repair things. You can't let them fix things. That means that, like, instead of buying a new robotic vacuum every 3 years, maybe buy one every 5 or 6. And so, which is
Sorry,
awesome.
Matt. Hey, hold on. I got it. You're breaking up again. I got to interrupt you. I'm gonna give myself an edit point. So maybe exit, re-enter the thing so I can hear you, and then I'll let you do your Roomba thing. All right, you back? Still pixelated. All right, you back?
Yes.
Okay, now you're good. So I don't know. It is weird. It's like maybe it is a restream issue. I don't know. Okay, so all right, we're almost done.
I don't have anything else, and literally, I'm going to spend 5 hours on video calls today.
All right. Well, next time it's just you and me. We'll maybe just record on using something else. So all right, here's where I'm gonna set you up.
Well, okay, I'm ready to just start over on my iRobot.
On the Roomba. So, okay, I'll set you up and I'll give you a go. So, all right. So Matt, it sounds like you disagree. What's your take on if you will, robot vacuums?
Well, the key, as you said, robot vacuums and not iRobot. So iRobot is a victim of their own success. Like they made one of the fundamental mistakes of consumer electronics. They made their things long-lived and repairable. So I had a Roomba. It's I guess it's probably in storage somewhere in America, but it I could replace the batteries. I could replace the little brushes. It was a tank. It was great. It worked forever. And they yes, they did go down the point of bumping around. And I think I read a write up. Wirecutter had a really good write up about the iRobot was like their pick year after year after year, and then they were like, and now we're done ever recommending iRobot. And it was essentially like all the pros came to bite them. So what happened was like they went down maybe the wrong technical path for like mapping your house. Instead of using, I want to say like they were trying to use video instead of LiDAR,
video versus cameras, right?
Like they made the wrong bet. And so, customers weren't buying their new stuff because like, whichever one LiDAR, let's say LiDAR was the right choice. LiDAR, the Chinese knockoffs flooded the market. They were great. They were cheaper and just as high quality. And maybe they weren't as repairable, but they were cheaper. They were substantially cheaper. And so like you had these technically better products at a lower price point, um, and not a fast renewal of your existing customer base. And so like owners love their Roombas, but they weren't buying new ones quickly. And the new incoming people to the market were faced with a better, cheaper option, and so that's what they took. And so that's what happened. It's a huge market. I use my robotic vacuum, like now I have a Eufy over here, and I bought it because it was like cheap, and quality is great. I've been running that thing every day for 5 years, um, and I replaced the exact same one that had run every day for 5 years, at least once a day. And so like I'm a big fan of robotic vacuums just because like I've got a dog, there's hair and dust everywhere, and you still have to vacuum. You still have to use a real vacuum, but you just kick it off and let it do its thing. And I don't even have the fancy ones that navigate your make a map of your house and upload it to China or anything like that. It's just like, yeah, it just bumps around in the dark and cleans stuff up, and you empty it out every day. It's fine.
All right,
But that's the thing. It's
Matt,
like, that doesn't help iRobot.
that was quite the pro robot vacuum. I didn't see that coming out of you, so it's good. All right, well, listen, I'm sort of done with them. I'm just like I just have old boring
great.
vacuum. I've given up on them. So,
they're so great.
But if you want one, it sounds like this is the episode where Matt buys everything from China. He's going to get a car from China. He's getting a robot vacuums from China.
I don't want to, but like
it is what it is, everything. Matt. You are where you are. You may not like who you've become, but it is who you are. That's what it is.
I have a Korean microwave.
There you go. Well, a few other quick things here. One, I just wanted some quick follow up. We won't go into it this week. I will say we talked a lot about fonts and typefaces last week. So it turns out over at Daring Fireball, there was actually a very long write up about the whole State Department typography thing. So if you're really interested in it, there was actually a lot more to the story. And I'll just summarize it as Times New Roman was selected because it's, if you will, a more formal font, and many of the reasons that Calibri was used were basically debunked. So it's sort of it's not as fun as like if you will, someone saying a font is woke and picking another font. It's actually has a lot more thinking.
Thing is like that's what was wrong with the announcement. Was like if they'd stopped at 90%. It was like, here are all the technical reasons we're going back. And it was like, okay, I agree with that. It does need to be more formal. Calibri does look like ass, right? And it doesn't look good. It doesn't match the headers. It does, it was a poor choice. And the OCR stuff, like, they had technical proof that it didn't help at all. I was like, okay, in the memo. And then they're like, it's woke. And I was like, God damn it.
So in the end, it really wasn't that reason, but it was more fun to talk about it when it was that way.
I know.
But we have to be correct. We have to be correct on our podcast. So
definitely,
it is what it is. All right. Well, listen, a couple other things here. Listener feedback. I would like to thank Yella for writing in. He's in Belgium, and I sent him a couple of Software Defined Talk stickers. And guess what? If you're looking for a very late Christmas present and you just want to give, stocking stuffers, and like, I don't know, kids like stickers, especially young kids. They don't even know what's on them. So that's another reason you should use Software Defined Talk stickers. Give them to your kids.
You can put them on their car.
No, put them on your kids' water bottles when you send them to like they're off to elementary school. It's like those always get lost. There won't be any water bottle that has a Software Defined Talk sticker at elementary school, and this is how you can get one. All you have to do is send your postal address to stickers@softwaredefinedtalk.com. I'll be happy to send you a sticker anywhere in the world. Also, there are a whole bunch of conferences, but you know what? You know what everyone should do? They should just go to their Christmas parties and their holiday parties. Don't even worry about the conferences. None of these even start till February. So it's like I say, don't even worry about it. Don't even look at the conferences. But if you really wanted to, there's some Cotes are going to be at. I'm sure those are the best, and he'll want to see you there. But if not, you know what? Take some time off for the next few weeks. Don't worry about conferences.
Yeah, check the show notes and make sure you hit your CFPs in time. But Enjoy the holidays.
Enjoy the holidays. Don't worry about the conferences. All right, Matt, you must have some incredible recommendation for us. What is it?
I don't have, it's not incredible. I think, I've just been, getting back into running again and doing a lot more listening to audiobooks as I run. And so I've been listening to Neil Stephenson's Termination Shock, which, uh, I feel like he must have written it. Well, I can find the date, but whatever. It seems very timely, because I guess it's set probably in about 2028 or so. So it's a good read about global warming and an effort to uh, offset it with shooting sulfur dioxide into the air, done through private industry. So it's it's entertaining. I've learned a couple things, and it's got his books like kind of tend to swing back and forth between well, I guess they're all kind of similar. They all have a lot of tangents and stuff, but this one has more of a reads like a screenplay, or needs to get optioned into a movie kind of thing. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm about 3/4 through. But I'm gonna say Termination Shock is my pick.
All right, well, that's what
for
you
this
want.
week.
You want an audiobook that's kind of that has like almost like a screenplay that's like pushing forward. I do think Neil Stephenson, though, sometimes those things can be really long. You're
Oh
like,
yeah, it's got some
it,
tangents,
and you'll be like,
but
I don't even know where we are anymore. I
exactly.
was running, or for my case, I was walking around the neighborhood. I just walked 3 miles, and I don't even know what happened. I don't even know.
What am I listening
I
to?
don't even know what we're talking to. So, well, listen, I'm going to steal a recommendation from one of our listeners this week. And it's from Michael. And continuing on the audiobook theme, it's a humble. What do they call these things? The humble
Humble
bundles. It's
bundles, yeah.
basically bundle, right? Where it's sort of like you get a whole bunch of stuff really cheap. So this month's or this week's is all audiobooks, and I think you can get like, I don't know, I think you get like almost 29 books. Something like, I think you get 25 books for like $29 if you want, and they're all. I don't know. They're various kinds of thrillers and sci-fi and stuff like this. So I can't say I've like listened to any of them, but it's just sort of like, where Matt's coming from. Sometimes you just need to run. Sometimes you just need stuff to listen to. It's sort of like, why not? Why not load up on like 30 hours of audio for like basically $1 an hour? Seems like a good deal. And if you don't like the book, just go to the next one. You're like,
Hey!
there's no cost.
We've got like 550 episodes of
Well, that's a
backlog.
given. If you've listened to all 551 episodes twice, right? So once you've done that, you're like, I need something else to listen to. So why not use the humble audiobook bundle? So thanks to Michael for sending that in. And if you don't like the books, please find Michael in the Slack and criticize his suggestion. And you can do that by going to softwaredefinedtalk.com. At the top, there's a little button. You just click. It's actually not a button. There's a link. You click on Slack and you just join it. And you can be in there with like, I don't know, there's like 1,000 other people in there, but it's not really that. There are not that many people talking. It's like a bunch of us just talking. So get in there, get in the sports channel before college football season starts or ends, and you can talk about who's going to win. And then there's a bunch of other channels like running, cooking. Oh, and then there's a lot of technology talk too. So you've got it all. You've got
Maybe
everything
some
that
AI.
you need.
Yeah,
And then if you want to
finance.
see all the links we talked about, because we should know what we should invite our Apple Podcast listeners. If you didn't know, evidently it now supports chapters. So here, I've had the audio team producing this for years, putting in chapters in all of the specific podcasts. Now you can see them. So if you're like, I don't care about Matt's dog, I want to move to the next section of important information, you'll see a little chapter marker there and you just click and then you move to the next one. And it's like, we won't be offended. Click around, find stuff you want to talk
The
about.
dog might be offended.
We get two types of feedback. We get some people are like, there's too much nonsense. Why are you guys wasting time? And then the other feedback we get is like, I really only listen for the nonsense. Why do you keep talking about technology? So it doesn't matter. Like the chapter markers help both of you. It's very clear which is nonsense and which is technology talk. So no excuses.
Is it though? Is it? We're like
I
the
think
Neil
so.
Stephenson of podcasts.
Oh gosh, that kills me. But like I was saying before, if you want to see the show notes, go to softwaredefinedtalk.com/551 because that's the number of this specific episode. And with that, we will talk to you next time.
Bye.
All right, Matt. So we're gonna get you new internet for next year. That's gonna be the Christmas present. I
It's
don't know
going
how
to
we're
be
gonna do
turned
it.
off while I'm out on break.
I don't
Maybe
know
you
how we're
just
gonna do
needed
it.
a 3-week break.
We're gonna give the internet a break while you're out. So, all right. Well, quickly, you said you wanted to tell me a story about your dog. What's the dog story?
I don't know if I want to tell you a story.
Give me a quick.
Um,
Give me a quick story about a dog before it's over.
uh,
Before
uh,
you pixelate again.
well, my dog had like a bad ear infection, so he has these drops, and his ears are like all greasy and goopy and
Hmm.
nasty. So he had that going for him, and then I guess out of spite, he decided to eat a container of chocolate muffins.
Oh
So he had
man.
to get his stomach pumped.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know how the story came about, but yeah, so he had the stomach pump, and he's pretty much had nonstop diarrhea since.
That's wonderful, Matt.
We're on like 4 or 5 days now.
I
It's
think that's a
horrible.
story that
Why did you ask me to tell this story? This is
that's
a
a story we
terrible
didn't
story.
need here, I think. So
No.
maybe that won't make it in the after show. We'll pick something else out. We'll make that's
I
kind of
There's nothing good here.
I don't know. A
Yeah.
story about a dog. Like dogs are great for views. We should bring on
Oh,
the
no,
dogs.
my
We should
dog
bring
is
on the
he
puppies, like have
oh,
them like,
no, my dog is in a miserable state right now.
all right, well, you're starting to pixelate. So that means the show has to end. Well, if you made it through watching us live stream this one, it was Matt fighting the internet as usual. I don't know how I'd say we're going to fix it, but I have no idea how that's going to get done. So maybe it'll get
It's a
better.
restream problem.
But we appreciate everyone hanging into all the streams and especially this one. And with that, we will talk to you next time.